Hi everyone, this is part one of the video Believe in the Impossible. The first thing I want to say is that the boundaries of time and space that you have been taught to believe in are very arbitrary. They are things that have been set up by people before you, and if you want to change them or challenge them, it's not difficult at all, other than you need to deal with your beliefs and what you think is possible and what you think isn't possible. You are in charge of your creations in this world. You have complete ownership of everything that you create here. And so focusing on what you want to create and focusing on how to do that gradually, building it up and up, will be able to create. That process will create what you want to create. For example, one time years ago, I was not doing well. I was struggling and I was asking for help from the universe. And I sent out a very powerful signal for help. And a week later, the phone rang and I noticed it said restricted on it, which I had never heard before. I'd never seen before. And I picked it up, and it was a guy with a sort of peculiar Asian accent. And he said, "Hi, can I speak to someone that does energy work?" And I said, "Yes." And he asked me what type of work I did, and I told him. And he said, well, I'm calling to help you out. And I said, "What?" And he said, "Are you struggling with these things?" And he told me a number of things, like 3 or 4 different things that were very specific to me, and things that were, I had not told anyone else. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, "Well, here are some solutions." And I'm like, why are you calling me? And he said, "I'm teaching a workshop in Tibet, and we've been meditating, and your number came up twice." And I said, "What?" What? And he said, "Yes, your number came up twice, and you've been asking for help from like energies." And I was like, "Okay." And we talked a bit more, and after a while he said, "Look, I have to go," and he hung up. And I was in shock for a while, because what he said was so specific to me, and somehow he had got my number and called me. I mean, it just blew my mind in terms of what I expected about reality for probably certainly a few weeks, a few months, and the effects went into years. Now, hearing this kind of story from someone else is inspiring. However, there's nothing more inspiring and nothing that really gets you to understand this as if you do it yourself. And that is where the real learning comes in, when you have your own experiences. And that's why I'm making these videos. It's not so you can listen to me talk about my experiences and leave it there, but so that you can have your own experiences, so you can experiment with your own energy and you can create things. Now, I will tell you another story, is that also years ago I wasn't doing very well financially, but I really wanted to travel. And I set my intent to go to Alaska and have a really incredible experience in Alaska. Now, that was literally impossible for me back then. And fast forward a number of years, I was at a party, a dinner party, talking to people, and they were telling me about this amazing trip that they were taking to Alaska in a year. And I was listening to them thinking, "Oh my God, that's a life I want to live." Now, a few months later, I'm dating someone, And she says to me, oh, by the way, I'm taking this trip to Alaska with these people. Do you want to go with me? And I said yes. And I was in a place then to financially afford a 3-week adventure-filled vacation to Alaska. And so it happened in a magical way. I ended up being on a trip with these people that I wanted to go on to I was listening to their story and thinking how magical it was, and that I wished I was living that life. And then later I was living that life. You may think the first story I told you is more exciting than the second one, but I think the second one is more exciting because I lived the journey of changing my energy financially and emotionally, and in terms of what I believe I'm capable of creating, all the way up to that. So there are years and years of creation and me changing my energy leading up to that. And the first story is exciting, but really it happened out of desperation because I really wanted something to happen. I believed that I knew, didn't believe, I knew that the energies could hear me from across the world, and that time and space doesn't work the way it does. But it was a desperate attempt at getting help, and I got the help I wanted, but there wasn't anything more from that because I didn't create differences in my life all the way up to then. So just to say, you can create anything that you want if you look at your expectations and if you look at your beliefs, and if you take it step by step, your life can change in any way you want. Thanks all for being here. Next week, I will post the exercise that goes along with Believe in the Impossible.